My name is Maria Robinson. I'm a consultant at Eloquent Systems. Welcome to our newest webinar on users, user groups, and a whole slew of other functions available to you under the administrator account. Every application in the Eloquent web suite has an administrator account. In this account, you have the power to create and modify users and user groups, custom tailor menus, and do a variety of other tasks like monitor system data and edit the content of the help boxes. Our agenda. We'll talk about staff users first, then administrator functions. I'll talk about the public users last so we don't get the two different types of users confused. To access any of these functions, you're going to need to log into your system using one of the following usernames. The password will be the same password Eloquent gave you when you started using your software. With staff users, we're going to talk about three things: groups, privileges, and individual user accounts. To access these functions, click on the General in your menu after you've logged in as the administrator to find the following two items: Define Groups and Define Users. The best practice when it comes to users and user groups is to manage privileges at the group level. This way individual users can come and go, they can change their names and change jobs with little administrative hassle. Now put some thought into what levels of access you'll need. This will depend on how many staff users you have and how many different functions they're each responsible for carrying out. Eloquent provides you with a default set of user groups and a single user in each group. These groups are designed to cover the administrator, a full privileged user, a more limited user, and the public. You can choose to modify the existing groups and users, or you can create new ones. So start by searching in the lower left for an existing group after you've clicked on Define Group. The group's information will appear in the main screen after you've selected one, and name and menus are being the most important fields here. If you want to modify this group, all you need to do is start making changes. It's probably a better idea, though, to copy this group and create a new one from the template. Click Save on. So to do this, you need to click Save on the left, and then click on the newly appeared Copy button in the right-hand corner, and then start making changes to your new group. So the area to focus on for your changes is the Menu section, or the Names section. You can click on Create, and then search through the existing menus to add to your group. The thing is here, though, you can only add one menu. It is possible to modify the menus and customize them to your needs, but it's a little more involved. So if you'd like to go that way and you find that the existing menus aren't quite what you need, then contact us and we'll help you set that up. And of course, remember to press Save when you're done. So once you have your groups straightened out, you can create and modify your users. The same idea as above works here. You search for an existing user to modify down in the lower left-hand corner in the keyword search box, and then you start making your changes. Or you click Save and then Copy to create a new user. This user will need a name and a password, and they will need to belong to a group. So the names here can be real person names, like I can make the name Maria Robinson, Maria.Robinson, M. Robinson, something like that. Or I can make it a generic function type of name, like in the example here. It's just cataloger, or you could have archivist. Users can only belong to a single group, though, so you're going to need to either, one, make sure all the necessary menu options are available in that one group for that one person, or two, have different logons for different functions. For example, if you're going to do some cataloging, then you're going to log in as a cataloger. And when you're ready to do circulation tasks, then you're going to log in under circulation. So this is up to you, and you'll need to figure out what strategy works best for your institution. We do, however, recommend that you leave the administrator functions accessible only through the administrator account. It's a good idea to keep them separate, because it prevents idle messing about with some of these important system-altering functions. So the administrator functions include custom tailoring the help and support terms, and those are most of the drop-down menus you're going to find in the system, and monitoring system data. This also includes things like permanently deleting and restoring your records, setting the sequential counters, batch entering storage locations, and for records managers, managing your classification scheme. You probably noticed on the entry screens that whenever you hover over a question mark next to any particular field, a small window appears providing guidance on what you're supposed to enter in this field. Many of these have been preset with generic information based on professional standards. You have the ability to revise these snippets with institution-specific information. In order to do this, your user account needs to be a member of a group that has the translator turned on. I'll show you how to do this during the demo portion of the presentation. For now, just trust me. So you might also wish to make this a separate user account, and that way you're only tempted to do any of this custom tailoring when you're actually logged in with the ability to do it, and it won't distract you from your everyday cataloging jobs. Now when you are logged in with this ability, on any entry screen you open, you'll see a text icon next to a field name, like the one highlighted in front of you. Clicking on that will open a new window. In this edit prompt, you'll see fields for the name and the label of this field, as well as the content for the help. So when you click on Edit, it'll open a new window where you can more easily edit this content. Please don't be scared by this example. It is packed full of HTML, but the HTML is purely optional and it's used only here for formatting. If you just have a line or two, type them in as you normally would. If you like to see some headings and paragraph breaks, then you're going to need to use some basic or maybe some more advanced HTML to format your text. Even if you open it up and see some fancy script like you do in front of you here, if all you need to do is change a few words, you can pick out that section in here. So for example, in front of us, if I wanted to change the heading from purpose and scope to scope and content, it's pretty easy for me to do without having to know one thing about HTML. So now we have the support tables. These include just about any drop-down menu you find in the system. Your archives hierarchy terms, your authority types, container types, material types, disposition methods, branch locations, languages, patron loan codes, and various other statuses and restrictions. You'll find these entry screens under Maintenance and Support Terms when you log in as the administrator. I'll give you a moment to take a look at what some of these options are for the different systems. Archives, you find a lot of your archives type drop-downs here, things like access restrictions, archivist names, authorities, and authorization, EAD. In library, you've got things like branch location, circulation material type, copy status codes, patron status codes. Records, you've got your active, inactive, disposed, archival categories, classification types, disposition methods, and so on. So to use these entry screens, what you do is select the menu you'd like to edit from the drop-down, and then click Search. This will bring up all of the currently entered menu options, so then you can add, delete, and modify as necessary before pressing Save. Logged in as administrator, you also have the power to monitor system activity. Under Maintenance and Search, select the table you'd like to see. For example, archival descriptions, catalog records, or your authority records. Then you can search by user or by date to see who has been doing what and when. You also have the power to permanently delete records. During the course of your work, you've probably deleted quite a few records, but these only actually go to live in a garbage can at that point. They don't get permanently deleted from the system. It's the same way when you delete things on your own computer, they end up in the recycle bin, and periodically you need to take out the trash and empty that recycle bin to make more room on your hard drive. So you should do the same thing here. Periodically take out that trash. So what you would do is under the Restore and Permanently Delete Records menu, choose one of those tables, review your records, and then delete them forever. And then you will be clearing up more space in the system and maybe speeding things up a bit if that's gotten too big. So let's move on to the public users. Eloquent offers you the ability to track your users privately through the back end. All these people live in the same table, and they include people like your library patrons, your archival researchers, and your donors. If you're using more than one Eloquent system, you'll find you only need to enter a person once, and you'll be able to access their information from anywhere. This user tracking ability comes with different modules depending on which system you're using. If you're using museums, then you can track your donors without any additional modules, or you can also do it through the Accessions module. If you're using Eloquent Archives, you can track donors through the Accessions module, and researchers through the Researcher Management module. For Eloquent Library, you track patrons through the Circulation module. For Eloquent Records, you can track users through the Tracking and Retrieval module. If you are tracking your users, researchers, or patrons, Eloquent also offers a Members module that allows them to register and log in themselves through the public search screen. They can then do things like edit their personal information, view their library record, tag photographs, or comment on descriptions. So the entry forms might look slightly different depending on which system you're in, and the link you use to get to these forms might also be slightly different. But they all collect pretty much the same information, like name and group, loan and status codes, organization, and of course their contact information. If you have the Members module, then your users will register and log in through links on the main search page. If all of your patrons are already being tracked through one of these other tracking modules in the back, then you can mass email all of their login information if you decide to upgrade to get the Members module later, and that way you don't need to duplicate them, and they don't need to duplicate themselves. So once they do have an account and they're logged in, they can edit and view their patron information, including any books they might have checked out. So in this example, I've logged in through the Archives public search, but I do get my library record displayed here too, because it's all stored in the same table, regardless of the system. All right, it's time to see a demo. I'm going to log in today through the Archives backend. But as I've mentioned, a lot of these forms look pretty much the same, no matter where you are. So you should be able to make the leap into what it looks like in your library system, for example, or your museum or records. So this is your menu, and the first thing we talked about were the users and groups, and those you're going to find under the general menu. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to modify a group, or create one, but we're going to modify one, and then add in that translator ability. And then we'll move on to users and do some searches and things like that. So let's start with define groups. So I want to pull up some groups that already exist, just so we can see how these forms are filled out. I'm going to click on search. That's going to bring up a list of all of the current groups. Let's just browse through here and see what we get. Staff users, this is going to include most of the groups that you commonly use, either that or the administrator group. You see the administrator group has a separate group for museums, libraries, archives, and so on. Let's check off librarian, and let's use these arrows and see what some of these librarian staff groups look like too. We'll choose cataloger. Let's take librarian. Okay. So the librarian administrator group, we see it has a parent group, that is the Web Suite administrator group, and then it also has a menu, which also is Web Suite administrator. If you ever have any questions on what these menus do, who they're for, what they're about, you can click on the Create button and get some more information when you see the menu form. The Help is where you want to look here, and let's see what this says. So only someone highly experienced with the software and is familiar with the library processes should use this menu. Well, that's kind of nice to know. So this means you probably don't want to be creating a user that just does very basic functions, maybe a new employee or maybe one of your volunteers. You're not going to want to put them in this group. Let's go back. Let's take a look at a couple others. Cataloger group, its parent group is librarian staff. Makes sense. And it has only the cataloger menu available. And then we have the librarian. Librarian is also part of librarian staff, and it has the Web Suite application menu. Now that doesn't sound quite obvious. Let's take a look and see what that says. The help here tells me that the Web Suite menu is the root menu for all staff functions within the Eloquent product suites. Okay, so this means that the librarian has all of the librarian functions when they have the Web Suite menu. So I'm not going to create a new group today. Or actually, sorry, I take that back. I am going to create a new group, but I'm going to do it by modifying this one in front of me. I don't actually want to change this one. I'd like to leave the defaults as they are, which is usually a good practice anyway. So I'm going to press Save on the librarian group, and then Copy. And you'll notice now that I've copied it, while I still have the same information filled out in the form, the key field is now empty. The key field is empty, it means this is a new record. So any changes I make here will be saved back as a new group and not overwrite the old one. So the only thing I'm actually going to change here today is the name. I've decided that librarian doesn't really give across the gravitas of the situation here, because this librarian has all of the functions in this login. So I feel like librarian manager makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to press save. And I have a new group. It was really that easy. Now let's make a new user. Oh, hold on. Let's go back again. I forgot to do something. I'll show you how easy it is to modify groups now. So let's find our librarian manager. And what we're going to do this time is add the the translate button on. Remember how earlier I said that if you have the translator ability turned on, then you'll be able to modify any of those help menus, like these ones that I'm hovering over right now. Hey, there's nothing in there, and that could probably use some help. So we're going to do that. So by changing this to yes, it means that anybody who logs in, or any user who is a member of the librarian manager group, whenever they log in, they're going to see those little document icons, and they'll be able to edit those helps. We'll see that in a few minutes when I actually log in as our new user, but we need to create that new user first. Okay, define users. I'm just going to push on search so you can see a list of all of the available users, the ones that already exist. And it looks a bit messy because we have a lot of people in here. So you can sort by name, and you can also sort by group. Because my person, my new user, is going to be a librarian, and I'm just going to take that one, and we're going to copy it. It's really a good idea to copy existing ones, because then there's a lot of these system menus down here at the bottom. I don't really want to think about what they mean, what's the right thing to choose, what's the wrong thing to choose. So if I choose a record and copy one that already exists that's close to the new one that I want to create, I can be pretty assured that all of those system menus and drop-downs are probably what they should be. So the first thing I'm going to do is change my group. And my group's new name was Librarian Manager. So let's link that. And I'm going to give my person a new name. I don't think librarian's a bit generic. I'm going to call this Jane Doe. She's my new user. And she's going to need a password. And again, like I said, I don't need to bother with anything down here. It's exactly the same as it was for librarian, so I'm sure it's perfectly fine for whatever Jane Doe needs. Let's click Save, and we're done. Okay, before we log in as our new user and try out some of these translate abilities, I'm going to show you where these support terms are. You know, those drop-downs that you can modify. So back on our main menu, we want to go under Maintenance this time, and then Support Terms. I'm going to click on the Archive Support Terms. So here's our table name drop-down. I can select any one of these to make changes to. State, province, titles, description status. What I want to point out for the archivists out there is the level of description. Let's take all of these. And you notice this last column over here called Level of Description Color. It only really applies to this one table, but you've probably noticed on the front end that your record group info always show up in red, and series is always green, files are blue, and so on and so forth. If you don't like those colors, this is where you can change them. You can make them all black, you can make them all neon pink. It's entirely up to you. And if you don't know how these HTML color codes work, hover over that help icon. There's a link here that directs you to W3 Schools, and they will provide you a list of color names, and they will explain these codes and help you form new ones for the colors that you want to see. So all you need to do is to make some changes in here, and whenever you're done, click Save. One last thing, let's search for some data. I'll show you how to monitor how things are going in your system. So I get to choose if I want to search on archival descriptions, accessions, and so on and so forth, the authorities. I'm going to go with archival descriptions. If I want to check out what's been done recently, the things I'm going to want to look at are system creation date, system creator, system modification date, or system modifier. So let's say we want to check out what's been done during a certain period of time. We'd want to select the creation date, and system creation date means that's the date that this record was created in the system, the date somebody first pushed save. System modification date is the last date that anybody made some edits. System creator and modifier, same thing. It's the user who first created a particular record or the user who last edited that particular record. So let's use system creation date, and I'm going to search for everything. No, I take it back. Let's do system modification date. I want to search for everything that's been changed in the system in the last month. You know, have people been going crazy with the edits, or has nobody really gotten any work done? So to search by date, and it's not probably not the date format you would first pick. So let me show you how this works. The first thing you're going to do is 2 numbers for the day of the month. And then you have your 3-letter abbreviation for the month, and then you have your year. You go ... and you can do today's date, or if you really want to search everything up to present day, you don't even need to bother with the last date. Just leave it empty after the ... and it'll search up through today. So when I get my results, I'm going to be able to run some reports on these. See over here on the Go menu, I can just display some of these, or I can actually export some of these too. Whatever I'd like to do. And when I run some of these reports, if I just want to see the custom display, because you don't get all of the columns here, you only have title, dates of creation, level, and forms part of. If you want that information you were searching on, like we were looking for the system modification date, or maybe you were searching for the system creator, this is where you can find that information. Okay, it is time to log in as our new user, Jane Doe. So the first thing I want to do is Jane Doe. Show you these editing capabilities because we have the translator turned on. So we'll go into Cataloger, let's go to Authorities, enter Edit Authorities. You can choose any one of these forms, and you can modify the help on any one of these forms for any one of these fields on any one of these forms. See, now we have these edit prompts next to every single one of these. So all I need to do, well, first I can hover over to see if there is anything there already. And if that looks good, great. This one, maybe I could make that a little bit better if I wanted. So I can click on the edit prompt. I'm going to get a new window. And I see this is the name. This is the label. The label is important because maybe you don't want it to say description here. Maybe you'd like it to say anything else. Then that is what you would change. Sorry, not the name. The label. And next time you reload this screen, it will change. This will be whatever you change that label to. The other thing down here is the help. And it can be hard to edit in this one line, so you click on the edit button, and you can make several paragraphs in here if you want. When you're done, remember to click Save. And next time you load this page, you'll be able to hover over and see your changes. So let's move over to the circulation desk and start looking at people. So let's say I want to track my patrons today. Let's take a quick look at some of the fields you have in here. Oops, I don't want to search, I want to enter. So these are the basic fields we looked at before during the presentation portion. And let's see what this form looks like filled out. We'll find me. So I am a people, not an organization. If I had a manager, I could put in a manager name here, first name, last name, and a whole bunch of other information. I am a new patron. There are different codes here. Maybe some status comments. Maybe I always return my books late and they need to start finding me more. And my billing address and email address and all of this other information. So I could just copy this form to create a new patron. That might be easier, for example, than just starting a new patron form altogether, especially if you're entering a family, for example. They all have the same address and maybe the same phone number and some other information. They're all new patrons as well. So if you just keep copying the same form, then all you need to do is change maybe just the first name and maybe a birth date or something, or an email address. So you should keep that in mind. Remember, you do that by clicking Save, and then there will be a copy button over here. Let's see what people look like in the archive system. We have a whole heading here called People and Organizations. It's not buried under Circulation. So I can enter people directly here. I also have the option to go under the Archives menu and under Researchers and do Enter, Edit, New Request. I can get new people in that way too. I'm just going to click on Enter, Edit, People and Organizations. And I can pull myself up here too. I still have the exact same patron ID number. I don't know if you noticed that from the last form, but it's the same one. And I have a lot of the same fields filled out. Because it's the same table that all of this is getting stored in. You just access it from different places. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you then is let's move to the public side and see how it looks for me to log in as a registered user if I am one of your patrons. It's really easy for me, if I can remember to spell my email correctly. My email and my password. And now I'm logged in. So I can edit my member information. It comes up in a new window, and maybe I need to change my city or my mailing address has changed. I can also see my patron detail display. And at the moment, thankfully, I don't have any books overdue, which I did last time I logged in here. I finally returned them. But if I did have any checked out, I would see them on here too. And I get some other neat information, like this is my loan code and my status code and so on and so forth. So remember, if you're already tracking your patrons in the back end, and then with your circulation module or a researcher request tracking module, and you upgrade to get the members module, you're not going to need to make people register themselves all over again here. All you need to do is send out a mass email to everyone with their new password information. They can just log in without having to register first. New people can register as well, but you won't be duplicating anything. All right, let's do a review now. I hope all that demoing made sense. If you have any questions, please call. So we talked about staff users, administrator functions, and then the public users. With your staff users, you're going to log in as under the administrator account. Remember, it's either WA admin, WL admin, WR admin, or WM admin, depending on what system you're in. You're going to go under General, and then you're going to go under Define Groups and Define Users. To create or modify a group, you're going to search for one of them down here in the lower left-hand corner, and then either make direct changes to that group or copy that group first and then make some changes and save it as a new one. Same with the users. You search for someone who already exists down here in the corner. It's a lot easier than just making a new one from scratch. and then you either modify that one, or you save it, copy it, and then save it back as a new one. With administrator functions, you can do a number of other things. Custom tailoring the help, changing the support term drop-downs, monitoring your system data, and permanently deleting records. Custom tailoring that help, it's really easy. You just need to go in to define groups and make sure you save one of those groups as with a yes option on that translate ability. And then every time that person logs in as a member of that group, they're going to see these little document icons, and they'll be able to make some changes on the fly. And remember, please don't be scared by the HTML. It's not necessary anyway. Just type in whatever you feel like typing in. You can also change all of the support tables. So any of those drop-down options you see anywhere in the system can be modified. You select one from the list, you search for them, bring all of the existing ones into that form, and then either add, delete, or edit as necessary. You can also search through the system and monitor what systems are being created, what records are being created, and what's being edited, and by whom, and when. You do this under maintenance, and then search. You're going to want to use those system access points to search. You can also restore or permanently delete your records. I didn't really talk about the restore part before, only the permanently deleting, which is a good idea to do periodically to clear out some space. But on the other hand, if you have accidentally deleted anything and you do need to restore it, come find it in one of these tables and then restore. So the public users, these include your library patrons, your archival researchers, and anybody who's a registered member. All of your public users live in the same table, and the forms look pretty much the same, no matter where you access them from. All of your public users are going to log in the same way too. And once they're logged in, they can see all of the information about themselves. They can edit some of their personal information, and they can also view their patron detail display, so they can see if they have any books out and when they might be due. If you have any questions on users and groups and other administrative functions, please give me a call or anybody else here at the office. It's always a good idea to call our main line first, and then you'll get whoever's in the office at the moment. You won't have to wait for anybody to come back to their desk. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you at our next webinars. Thank you.